I slipped away silently after uncovering my wife's infidelity 3 years in. 12 months later, she found me after being ghosted. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I served mine frozen. 3 years into a marriage I thought was solid, I found the messages, the lies, the other man. Most people would have exploded tears, shouting, "Lawyers, not me." I calculated, I planned. And then one Tuesday morning I erased myself from her life completely. No goodbye, no closure, just an empty closet and a life rebuilt in the shadows. 12 months later she tracked me down, desperate, broken, begging for answers. But by then, I'd already buried the man who loved her, and the one standing in front of her didn't owe her a damn thing.
Hey, story lover. Welcome to the Narrative Hub, Reddit Stories. Believe me, this adventure gets wild, but it's only epic with you. Seriously, you make this possible. Want more stories? Greater adventure? Smash subscribe right now. Smash like. Comment below. Let's go.
The man who loved Lisa Perez died on a Thursday night at 11:47 p.m. He didn't die from a sudden impact or a failing heart. He died slowly, illuminated by the cold, blue glow of a screen he was never meant to see. It was a second phone, a ghost phone tucked away in the back of her underwear drawer, a place she thought I'd never look. I was just searching for a spare charging block. Instead, I found a whole other life. His name was Kevin Harris. The messages weren't just sordid, they were a complete rewriting of our history. There were inside jokes I never understood, references to dates I thought she'd spent with her girlfriends, and a specific laugh, a cascade of emojis she never ever used with me. It was the laugh she saved for him. Reading those texts felt like walking through my own home and realizing all the furniture had been replaced with cheap imitations. Everything looked familiar, but nothing felt real. The air thickened, the floor felt like it was tilting beneath my feet. Rage came first, a hot, white-hot flash that made my hands tremble. I wanted to storm into the bedroom, to throw the phone at the wall, to watch her carefully constructed world shatter around her. But then a colder, much more dangerous thought slithered into my mind. What's louder than a scream? Silence. What's more devastating than a fight? Absence. A confrontation would give her a stage. It would give her a chance to cry, to apologize, to manipulate, to paint me as the villain who violated her privacy. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. I placed the phone exactly where I found it, slid the drawer shut with a soft click, and walked back into the living room. The man who sat on the couch that night was a stranger, an actor playing the part of Nathan Evans' loving husband. The performance of my life had begun, and she had no idea. The next 3 months were a masterclass in psychological warfare conducted in absolute silence. While she slept, I was online, laying the groundwork for my exodus. This wasn't just about leaving, it was about executing a tactical disappearance. I saw it in 3 stages: lock, stock, and barrel. The lock was the legal and financial firewall. I spent late nights consulting with a lawyer 2 states away over encrypted video calls. I learned about asset separation, about moving my personal savings into a new account at a different bank, and about creating a sole proprietorship for the software project I'd been developing on the side, the one Lisa always dismissed as a little hobby. That little hobby was about to become my lifeboat. I meticulously untangled my life from hers, one digital thread at a time. The stock was the physical escape plan. A new city, a new number, a new life. I chose a place she would never think of, a place we had never even discussed visiting. I secured a small apartment online, paid 3 months' rent in advance. I bought a burner phone. I packed a single duffel bag with the essentials and hid it in the trunk of my car beneath the spare tire. Every day I'd walk past her, smile, ask about her day, all while the bag in the garage felt like a ticking time bomb. I was a ghost in my own home, haunting the hallways of a life that was already dead. The barrel, that was the endgame. It was the part I hadn't figured out yet. All I knew was that simply disappearing wasn't enough. True victory wasn't just in leaving the game, it was in making sure she could never play it again. The final morning was unnervingly normal. A Tuesday. The sky was a pale, indifferent gray. She was still asleep, a slight smile on her face. I wondered if she was dreaming of him. I didn't feel anger anymore, just a profound, chilling emptiness. I showered, dressed, and walked through our home one last time. I left my wedding ring on the nightstand next to her sleeping form. I left my car keys, my house keys, and my phone on the kitchen counter. I took nothing that tied me to that life. As I walked out the front door, I didn't even allow myself the luxury of a final glance back. The soft click of the door locking behind me was the only sound. She wouldn't even hear it close. 12 months can change a man. The first few were about survival. I was a ghost, constantly looking over my shoulder, starting at the sound of every notification. I drove for 3 days straight to my new city, paid for everything in cash, and kept my head down. I funneled all that pain, all that cold, calculated rage into my work. The little hobby took off. My software found a niche, then it found investors. Within a year, my one-man operation had grown into a small but formidable tech startup. I wasn't just Nathan Evans, the ghost. I was building a new identity, one forged in betrayal and tempered by ambition. I was stronger, leaner, more focused than I had ever been. I had become the one thing I never thought I'd be: unreachable. I thought I had buried the past. I was wrong. It started subtly. A private investigator trying to add me on a professional networking site under a fake name. A vague email to my company's general inbox asking for Mr. Evans by his old college nickname. She was hunting me. The woman I had erased was trying to draw me back into existence. For a week I lived on a knife's edge, a knot of ice forming in my gut. The peace I had so painstakingly built was threatening to crack. I almost ran again, but then I looked around at the life I had built, the office, the employees who counted on me, the future I had seized from the ashes. No, I wasn't that man anymore. I wouldn't run. The inevitable collision happened on a crisp autumn afternoon. A sharp, insistent knock on my new front door, 1,000 miles from the life I had buried. I looked through the peephole and my blood ran cold. It was her, Lisa. She looked different. The confident glow she always carried was gone, replaced by a raw, hollowed-out desperation. Her eyes were wide, her face pale. I took a deep breath, straightened my back, and opened the door. For a moment, we just stared at each other, the ghost and the woman who created him, her face crumpled, a mixture of relief and anguish. "I found you," she whispered, her voice cracking. "So it seems," I said. My own voice was steady, devoid of the emotion I thought I would feel. It was the voice of the man I had become, not the man she had known. I just want to talk," she stammered, tears welling in her eyes. "I need answers, Nathan. You can't just disappear. You can't do that to someone." The audacity of it almost made me laugh. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. "I can, and I did. The question is, why are you here, Lisa?" "I want to know why," she pleaded. "Why you threw everything away without a word." But just as I was about to answer, I saw the flicker of movement behind her. A man stepping out of a parked car down the street. Kevin Harris. He was wearing a sharp suit, carrying a leather briefcase. A smug look of predatory confidence on his face, and in that instant I knew this wasn't about closure, this wasn't about apologies. This was an ambush. "He's with you," I said, my voice dropping to a flat, dangerous tone. It wasn't a question. Lisa's face hardened, the desperate, broken woman vanished, replaced by a cold-eyed stranger. "You left me with nothing," she hissed. "You cleaned out our accounts, you vanished." Kevin Harris walked up the driveway and stood beside her, a shark circling its prey. "Mr. Evans," he began, his voice oozing with false civility. "My client Lisa Perez is here to discuss the equitable division of marital assets, specifically your company. Seeing as the foundational concept was developed during your marriage, she is entitled to 50% of its current valuation." There it was, the real betrayal. It was never just about the affair. It was a long con. They weren't just sleeping together, they were plotting to dismantle my life, to steal my future. They thought they had cornered a ghost. They had no idea they had just walked into a trap that had been set for over a year. I looked from her face to his, and for the first time in 12 months I smiled. It wasn't a warm smile, it was all teeth. "You think this was an accident?" I asked softly. "You think you found me, I let you find me?" Their confident expressions faltered. A flicker of confusion crossed their faces. "Those breadcrumbs you followed," I continued, stepping aside and gesturing for them to enter. "The pie who got a lucky tip, I planted them. I've been waiting for this day." Inside, my apartment was sparse, modern, and cold. I walked over to my desk and turned a monitor towards them. On the screen was a crystal-clear video feed. The feed was from a tiny, motion-activated camera I had installed in the smoke detector of our old home office 2 weeks before I left. The video showed the two of them, Lisa and Kevin, sitting at my old desk laughing. "He's so clueless," Lisa's voice echoed in the silent room. "He slaves away on that stupid code all night and he has no idea he's building our retirement fund." "Just keep him happy and distracted," Kevin's voice replied. "Once the seed funding comes through, we make our move. The affair gives you leverage for a messy divorce. I'll argue the intellectual property is a shared asset and will bleed him dry." I watched the color drain from their faces. The smugness evaporated, replaced by pure, unadulterated panic. "You see," I said, turning back to them, my voice as cold and sharp as broken glass. "That second phone told me everything, not just that you were cheating, Lisa, but why you were cheating. It was never about love or passion. It was a hostile takeover, so I made my own plan." I picked up my phone. Every document related to my company was signed and dated 1 week after I legally filed for desertion and abandonment in this state, a filing you were never served because I wanted you to walk right into this room. The company is legally untouchable. Your claim is not just invalid, it's fraudulent. I pressed a single button on my phone, and that video file has just been sent to the senior partners at your law firm, Kevin, and to the State Bar Association. I believe the term is conspiracy to commit fraud. Disbarment is the least of your worries. Lisa stared at me, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. The man standing before her was not the husband she had betrayed. He was a strategist, a ghost who had learned to hunt. Get out, I said. It was the last thing I would ever say to her. They stumbled out of my apartment, their carefully constructed plan, their entire world imploding in real time. I watched them go, not with anger, not with sadness, but with the chilling peace of a battle finally won. I closed the door, the soft click echoing in the silence. The man who loved her was dead and buried, and the one standing in his place didn't owe her a damn thing. He owed her nothing at all.